Hey guys, so today we are going to learn about layer masks. You all know that a layer is basically a new adjustment that you have added onto your picture. So you can take them on and off, and it's kind of like putting a blanket on your photo that makes it a little better. So here's a picture of some hydrangeas that I took, and it actually even looks like it's not even in focus, but we're still going to use this picture anyways. The reason why it's not in focus is because I shot this with a very low aperture and clearly was too close to the flowers. As you know, with low apertures we need to be close, but you can also be too close. So the first layer I'm going to do, which we always do, is the levels layer. This way I can adjust the brightness and contrast. Now, this white area counts as your blanket, let's say, as far as layers go. So you can see here it says layer mask, and if we were to adjust this density, that would adjust how much of our layer is on our photograph. If we adjust the feather, we all know what feathering means. It makes it fuzzy, and that's kind of that. Anyways, I think the best way to learn about layer masks is to use the black and white layer. So I'm going to create a new black and white layer. Here I can adjust my black and white settings so that different areas are blacker or whiter. This looks really, really cool, just saying. Anyways, so now let's say I want to adjust the flowers to be the color they originally were. I'm going to take my brush tool and I'm going to change it to black. Now, as you can see, my layer mask, or my blanket, is all white. So by using the paintbrush tool, which I currently have set to 48%, and we're actually going to bring that all the way up to 100, although opacity, which we know is how it's similar to density, it's how much of something you can see through. We generally keep our opacity pretty low, around 50%, but so that we can get the colors to really pop in this picture, I'm going to change it to 100. The other thing we want to make notice of is that the hardness is set all the way to 0, which will give your photos a more realistic view. So now, as you can see, I'm drawing with the black setting on my paintbrush, and my color is slowly coming back into my photographs, which looks pretty cool. Yay! Okay, so I did most of it. I didn't do all of it, but I did most of it. Enough that it looks pretty cool. But now I can see that there's some green around the edges. So, to cover up, or to use to make my blanket a little bit bigger on my layer mask, I'm going to switch back to the white. The white is the original color that the blanket or layer mask was. So by switching back to the white, I can go in and make the green kind of disappear. Another way, and so for this, just so you guys know, I'm making the edges of all the flowers technically black and white because it's a little less noticeable. Because flower petals can be white, but that's not a big deal. But so, similarly, if I wanted to turn this all back to black and white, I would use the white color with my paintbrush and make it all black and white. Now, there is another kind of way you could do this, or let's say we wanted the flower in black and white and the rest of the image in green. So I would add my black and white layer. And then this is going to be different on the Windows computer, and I'll look it up and tell you what it is, but we're going to go to Command I. I can assume that if we pressed the Windows button I, it would do the same, or the Alt button I, and it would do the same. That is the keyboard command. So by pressing Command I, if you look over where my layer mask is, it makes the layer mask or the blanket black. So this inverses the layer mask. This way, when I now use the white color, I can turn anything I want black and white. So basically, you can switch layer masks around, and that's pretty cool. So that's how you could turn part of your photograph black and white or part of your photograph colored. This is how we use layer masks. But you may also be thinking, so do layer masks only work in black and white? That is not true. Let's say I wanted to turn the hue and saturation crazily, and I wanted to only affect, I'll go back. So this is how it originally is. I adjusted my hue and saturation, but let's say I wanted my flowers to stay the same. I'd look at my layer mask or my blanket, which is white, and I would switch my swatch to black because that's the opposite of white, and this way my flowers can be the original color they were. On the other hand, if I wanted, let's say, the leaves to stay green, but the flower to be this blue color, I would look at my layer mask, see that it was white, Command I or Windows I so that it inverses it, and now my blanket is black. Now, when I use the white color with my paintbrush, anywhere that I paint on will change to the hue and saturation that I changed. So I can also now go through and adjust my hue and saturation. I can just adjust it, and only the area that I made white or the area that is white in my layer mask, which I can show you over here, right up here, is this weird funky color. So that's how layer masks work. We are going to talk a little bit more about this, but if you have any questions, please let me know. They're really kind of difficult. It's a weird concept to understand, so I feel you if you don't get it right away. But try it out with the black and white. Try reversing or inversing the colors as well, and see if that helps you understand it a little bit more. But otherwise, let me know and we can go over it again. Thank you. How do I exit though? That's the question.